Yeah, so there's also single men who will lie about being married so that they never have to commit. I've been meaning to talk about this, and someone just mentioned it in the comments of a recent video about the other way that men will lie, right? So we know that there's so many men on these dating apps who are actually married and lying about being married so that they can either have an online fake relationship. Half of them don't even meet up with you. They literally flirt with you, waste your time, ask you to send them pictures. But this is not OnlyFans and you're not getting paid. Don't send them pictures. They're sitting next to their wife. Okay. But then there's also men who are single who will literally lie about being married so that they never have to date you. And so they can attract emotionally unavailable women. So thank you for this comment. This is from one of my mutuals. And that is something that happens all the time. Women who have very low self-esteem, who have some sort of unhealed trauma, relational trauma. A lot of times it's dad issues, but sometimes it could be any parent, it could be anything. But a lot of women who don't feel like we deserve anything more, or we've never even seen or felt what it's like to be truly loved and appreciated, will settle for men who give us nothing because we assume we don't deserve anything more. We will go after men who are not available. Now, I've never done this. I've never gone after anyone in a relationship. The only time I ended up in that situation is because the guy lied about being in a relationship. And then, so many men are doing this, lying about being married until they hook you with, eating your and telling you all their secrets and like trying to like get you to see how vulnerable and loving they are, and their wife just doesn't understand that, and they're in an open relationship anyway, and all this stuff, right? But I knew a guy I worked with. He was like 40 something. He was a raft guide with me, and he was such a sleazeball. He literally talked about all the women coming off the bus to go rafting with us, including teenage girls. And I tried to call him out. I tried to call all of them out, and I got punished so much for even trying to do that, because working with all men is a nightmare a lot of times. But I was like, God, this guy's a creep. He literally wore a fake wedding ring when he went out to bars to pick up women. He said he got laid more by faking being married because women want what we can't have and all this stuff. And I just remember being like, what? Like just being so fascinated by this like little scheme he was running, but it absolutely works. And this is why I talk a lot about how much a lot of women need to do some serious healing and some serious work on ourselves. Because as someone who did not know how to love, who did not know how to receive love, I enabled so many men, or I just didn't date at all, which is what most of my like 20s and 30s was, just like tapping out. And I'm so glad I did that. I would have caused so much harm to myself and other people by dating from such a like unhealed place. And the healing never ends, okay? Never totally healed. But from having so much unhealed trauma, I would have made my life a mess. And I would have been probably one of those women who was just constantly in terrible relationship after relationship after relationship with emotionally unavailable men. And married men are in that category because you secretly know deep down they're never leaving their wife. You know that. You may tell yourself, oh, they do, or, or feel good about yourself that like, oh, like he'll leave her for me. And when he does, then I'll be okay. But honey, he's never leaving her. And if he does, he's just gonna cheat on you too. Like, duh. We see that almost every time. And so as much as I hold men to task, I mean, I talk about all the ways that men lie and manipulate and blah, 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 right? But so many of us, because we have been raised to center men and focus so much on their feelings, their thoughts, like needing their validation, because we've been taught under patriarchy that they are it, they're the prize, and if we just get a man, we'll be okay, right? And, we chase after them, we allow breadcrumbing, we allow such trash behavior because we just hope one day, right? One day one will love us and then we'll be okay. But that's never gonna happen. It's never, ever gonna happen, because if you are that unhealed, I hate using that, unhealed. If you are coming from that place of serious, like chronic codependency, unresolved trauma, like patriarchal conditioning, when and if you do actually meet someone who truly sees you, truly loves you, you'll sabotage it. And then that line that you say, like, oh, men will leave me, men never, like even like the guys who actually did value you and were nice to you, you'll sabotage it, they'll leave you, and then your ego will be like, see, I told you. They're all trash. So you're screwed if you date an unavailable guy, and you're screwed if you date an available guy. Because if deep down you really don't believe you deserve love, it doesn't matter who crosses your path. You will keep reinforcing that narrative. And one of the most important pieces of information or advice or whatever that I ever got was from one of my doctors who was kind of like this healer type dude in New Mexico. Let me know if you want to hear more about this person, because he actually knew right away when I was dating a man that was trash, and he tried to warn me, and I was like, eh. He said, you are attached to this story that you're broken, that you're damaged, and you are acting out this script that you didn't even write, and you're playing a role that you don't even want to play anymore. You have to work on the story. And as a storyteller, I can't tell you how important story is. Story helps activism, story helps healing, story helps with connection, story helps with so many things. I love storytelling for this reason, because I realized that one of the reasons why my life in terms of relationships kept all going so bad is because deep down, everything was driven by a narrative. And the narrative is that there's something wrong with me. I'm damaged. And every single relationship that I was having with men, at least, reinforced that story. And until I really worked hard on changing that story, and this took a long time, y'all, and acting in a way with my actions, and until I actually started to believe that I am valuable, nothing was going to change. And it's not just in relationships, it came to career too. I sabotaged so many amazing opportunities in my career. I literally slept on a floor in a blow up mattress until I was in my 30s. If you looked at my life, some of it was like, wow, I'm powerful, I'm strong, I'm an adventurous, I'm a feminist, blah. But if you looked into some of the details of my life, that's not a strong woman who likes to challenge herself. That is a woman who thinks she doesn't deserve comfort, safety, love, security. And as much as I hate Christopher Nolan and the movie Inception, after watching it with a different, more feminist lens and realizing that what's his butt, Leonardo is like a king baby, blah. That movie changed my life, because I realized deep down it's like I needed an inception. One core belief system, like Inception, it was your dad is not proud of you or whatever, he's ashamed of you. That drove all of that man's decision. For me, it was, I'm broken, something's wrong with me. And then from that stemmed all the other things, like you don't deserve love, la, 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 la. When I started to focus on changing that narrative and having my actions, little and small, reflect someone who did value myself, who did believe that I deserved security, love, to sleep in a comfortable bed, and to not be such a masochist, that's when things really started to change for me. Now, this took a really long time. It took a lot of work on myself. But I will say this, something that really helped me fall in love with myself, as cheesy as that sounds, oh my God. It's embarrassing to say that out loud, but it's true. This book right here by Julia Cameron, this book helped a lot. This is one of many things that I did, but this one actually gave me little actions to take, start treating myself as if I valued myself. It really helped me learn to parent myself in a lot of ways in terms of my creativity. Creativity is such a healing, it's such a healing thing. Now, this doesn't replace therapy and all kinds of professional help, but it is a really good place to start, especially if you can't afford any of that other stuff. And especially if you're trying to date yourself instead of falling into relationships or whatever you want to call it with unavailable men, including married men, but not exclusive to that. The breadcrumber, the situationship guys, all of them. That book is like a really cheap way to start. It gives you all these exercises that feel so dumb and childish and whatever. Or if you're like a cynic like me, it's like, ugh. But at the end of the day, I really started to trust my intuition more and treat myself the way I wish a partner treated me. And that, coupled with really working on myself and creating a community that would call me out and help me see the truth that I didn't want to see, like, hey, that dude's doesn't like you. All of that was a good place to start. And I am not a therapist. Take it or leave it. But that's what I did. And like I said before, you can learn a lot from other people's stories. So if this helped, good. If it didn't, okay. But stay away from married men and men lying about being married. Actually, just assume men are lying all the time until proven otherwise at this point.